The golden dress, the crystal chandelier cast a warm glow across the restaurant as Emma Chen smoothed down her golden evening gown. Her hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the delicate straps on her shoulders. This wasn't what she had planned to wear tonight, not even close. 24 hours earlier, Emma had been standing in her small apartment, staring at her closet full of comfortable jeans and simple sweaters. Her best friend Rachel had set her up on this blind date, insisting it was just a casual coffee meeting. Emma had planned to wear her favorite worn cardigan and faded jeans, the kind of clothes that made her feel like herself. But then Rachel had called that morning, panic in her voice. The venue had changed. It wasn't a coffee shop anymore. It was the Sterling, one of the most expensive restaurants in the city. Rachel's exact words echoed in Emma's mind. "I'm so sorry, Emma. I didn't know he would pick such a fancy place. You have to dress up. Please, just this once." So here she was, squeezed into a borrowed dress from her cousin, wearing heels that pinched her feet, and feeling like an imposter in her own skin. The dress was beautiful, she had to admit. Golden silk that caught the light with every movement. But it wasn't her. Nothing about this evening felt like her. Emma took a deep breath and walked into the restaurant. The hostess led her through the dining room, past tables filled with elegant couples and important-looking business dinners. Finally, they stopped at a corner table where a man sat waiting. He stood up as she approached. Tall, with dark hair swept back perfectly, wearing a navy three-piece suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. His watch caught the light as he extended his hand. "Emma? I'm Alexander James," he said, his voice smooth and professional. She shook his hand, managing a small smile. "Nice to meet you." As they sat down, Emma couldn't help but notice how comfortable he looked in this setting. Like he belonged here, among the white tablecloths and multiple forks she didn't know how to use. Meanwhile, she felt like she was playing dress-up, pretending to be someone she wasn't. "Rachel has told me a lot about you," Alexander said, studying the wine menu with practiced ease. "She mentioned you work at the children's library downtown." "Yes," Emma replied, her voice quiet. "I've been there for 3 years now." "I love it," he nodded, ordering wine she'd never heard of when the sommelier appeared. As the evening progressed, Emma found herself growing more and more uncomfortable. Not because Alexander was unkind. He was perfectly polite, perfectly charming, but there was something distant in his manner, something rehearsed. They talked about safe topics. The weather, recent movies, the food, which was undeniably delicious, but served in portions so small, Emma knew she'd be hungry later. All the while, she sat rigidly in her borrowed dress, terrified of spilling something on the expensive fabric. Then Alexander's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and for the first time that evening his professional mask slipped. His jaw tightened, and something that looked like genuine frustration crossed his face. "I apologize," he said, setting the phone down without answering. "Work doesn't stop even on Friday nights. What do you do?" Emma asked, realizing they hadn't even covered this basic information. "I run a tech company. Software development mostly for corporate clients." He paused, then added with a slight grimace, "I'm the CEO, actually." It's a lot of pressure." There was something in his voice that caught Emma's attention, a weariness that hadn't been there before. She studied him more carefully, looking past the expensive suit and perfect hair. His eyes looked tired, she noticed. "Really tired? That sounds exhausting," she said softly. He looked surprised, as if no one had said that to him before. "It is," he admitted. "Every day is meetings and decisions and people depending on me to have all the answers. Sometimes I feel like I'm drowning in expectations." Emma understood that feeling more than he knew. "Is that why you agreed to this blind date?" she asked gently. "To escape for an evening?" Alexander laughed, but it was a sad sound. "Rachel is my sister's best friend. They've been trying to set me up for months. I finally agreed just to get them to stop asking." He paused, looking embarrassed. "That sounds terrible, doesn't it?" "Honest," Emma said. "It sounds honest." They looked at each other across the table and something shifted. The pretense seemed to drain away from both of them. "Can I tell you something?" Emma said, surprising herself with her boldness. "This dress isn't mine." I borrowed it because Rachel told me I had to dress up. But I've been uncomfortable all night. This isn't me at all." Alexander stared at her for a moment, then did something unexpected. He laughed. A real, genuine laugh that made his whole face transform. "I'm so relieved to hear that," he said. "Because honestly, this whole evening has felt like just another business meeting. I've been on autopilot, saying all the right things, but not connecting, not really." Emma felt something warm bloom in her chest. "So what would you rather be doing?" she asked. "Right now?" He thought for a moment. "I'd love to take a walk. Get some air. Maybe find a street vendor selling those oversized pretzels. I haven't had one in years." Emma smiled, a real smile this time. "That sounds perfect." They skipped dessert, much to the waiter's disappointment. Alexander paid the bill, and they walked out into the cool evening air. Emma immediately bent down and slipped off her painful heels, carrying them in one hand. "Better?" Alexander asked, amusement in his eyes. "So much better," she laughed. They walked through the city streets, the golden dress now forgotten as Emma padded along in bare feet. They found a pretzel cart near the park and sat on a bench, sharing the warm bread in comfortable silence. "You know what's funny?" Alexander said eventually. "I came to dinner expecting to spend an evening with someone impressive. Someone who fit perfectly into that restaurant." Emma felt her stomach drop slightly, but he continued, "But this is better, much better. You're real, Emma. When you told me the truth about the dress, when you asked me honest questions. That was the first genuine conversation I've had in months." Emma looked down at her borrowed golden dress, now slightly wrinkled, at her bare feet, at the pretzel crumbs on her lap. Then she looked at Alexander, who had loosened his tie and rolled up his sleeves. "Rachel is going to be so confused when we tell her the fancy dinner was the worst part of the date," Emma said. Alexander grinned. "Does that mean there might be a second date?" "Only if we can skip the formal restaurant," Emma replied. "Deal," he said, holding out his hand to shake on it, just like they had when they first met. But this time, when their hands touched, it felt different, real, like the beginning of something honest. The chandelier light might have made them look like they belonged in that expensive restaurant. But here, on a park bench with pretzel crumbs and bare feet, they had finally found where they actually belonged, together. The end.